Hello, 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 everybody. This is Alanna Surprenant, and this is our weekly podcast, Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. We go live in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners. We also have recordings posted in YouTube and in LinkedIn, so it's easy to find us if you know what you're looking for. We go live on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you or somebody that you uh, caring for will need this information, it's easy to find. And please don't hesitate to like it, don't hesitate to share it. In YouTube, you also can subscribe. So do whatever. So because every week you will find some new information, new guest, new point of view at this Life with Diabetes. And every last Thursday of the month, we have an episode with the diabetic warrior, somebody who lives with this condition, and they are sharing their stories, their challenges, their wins, their aha moments. So these are all to support you and everyone who needs that support and needs the knowledge and needs to know firsthand what it feels like it and what you can do to help yourself or someone who you care about. And I today have as my guest one of the experts. It's not the last Thursday of the month. Alanna, we met with her just recently. I am very excited that she has time and interest and enthusiasm to be here with me today. So, Alanna, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you are doing, why you are so interested to speak with me here, and we will go from there.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, and I want to thank your followers and the audience, the people who are living with diabetes, for the opportunity to kind of come forward and share. I'm Alanna Surprenant. I have a background in occupational therapy. I've been an occupational therapist practicing in the United States and now currently in Canada, outside of Ottawa, Ontario, and I've been doing that for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I also, though, have trained as a health and wellness coach and basically have really evolved in my understanding of how people living with chronic conditions can live a much more vibrant life. So one of the things that is really important to me is really looking at how can we move into a space of resilience, self-compassion, and create a life that glows from the inside out. And as you can see, Here She Glows Again is not only the name of the company, but it's really my mantra in life in terms of how can I move from what has happened or I've experienced in the past into a whole different version of who I am, recreating my identity and understanding, and being given the opportunity to provide myself with the love and compassion I need to move into the next version and the next understanding of who I am. And I think this is particularly really important for people who are experiencing chronic illness or
Mm-hmm.
chronic conditions like diabetes, because it not only kind of affects not only your health, but honestly, it affects who you believe you are, and it
Yeah.
affects how you feel you can move forward in your life. So one of the things that's really important to me is to provide that foundation of support for self-discovery and
Yeah.
for the opportunity to live in hope instead of in helplessness. Because I think when we're faced with a major change in our lives, we
Mm-hmm.
sit in that space because we feel not only grief, but sometimes we feel shame.
Yeah.
And it's how do we move through and move forward into a
Mm-hmm.
life that allows us to shine in a different way.
Yes.
So that's why I'm very passionate about being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Alana. It's, I'm listening to you and the thought that came to me that so often in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, we see these stories when people sharing, and I'm glad that they do because they get a lot of suggestions and ideas and support and compassion from their fellow group members. And this is, I think, what is making our group so different from many other groups in the Facebook. But very often I read the stories such as, um, I got this diagnosis, I don't feel well, I don't want to change anything. What can I do to help myself? Any suggestions are welcome. And this is kind of like people starting with the fact that they don't want to change, but they're asking for suggestions what to do. I don't eat vegetables. Don't recommend me to eat vegetables. I also don't eat eggs. What can I eat? And you telling me I cannot eat pasta, therefore I see a lot of times people actually do go there that, look, you got to accept that this is now the fact of your life, and you need to, find a way to enjoy your life even with that, rather than find a way to trick the disease. There's no way to trick the diagnosis. You have two options: either do nothing or do something. So my
Yes.
goal is to give people inspiration to start doing something.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's an incredible goal. And I think it is so needed, right? Because whenever we're faced with a diagnosis, often we're sitting right in that fear of, I, I'm afraid I don't want to change. I don't know how to change. What if I changed? All of these questions, right? And it, with diabetes in particular, because there's so much that is involved in that. It's not just the health related aspects. It's like the environment we live in. It's the choices that we make. We sometimes are so filled with fear, right? That we kind of paralyze ourselves
Yes.
from being able to look at the opportunities. And I think, I don't know about you, but math has never been my strongest suit. And when I think about diabetes, I think most people start thinking about the numbers. Like they start
Mm-hmm.
thinking about not only their weight, their A1C, the carbs they need to eat, the blood sugar numbers, and it becomes overwhelming. And you feel
Mm-hmm.
like a number in a diagnosis instead of as a total whole human being.
Yes.
And I think part of the fear of not wanting to do anything is kind of a reaction to not being seen as a whole person and not understanding how to move forward and live in that way. And having worked in healthcare for 30 plus years, I think as a new practitioner, I may not have understood that at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I may
Mm-hmm.
not have understood that there is a period of time where you actually have to, like you say, accept the
Yes.
fact that you are facing this, and that and in that acceptance there are changes that need to be made. When I was working as a healthcare professional, like directly in my earlier years, it seemed simple to me. Well, if this, then you do this. But we're layered as human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many factors that influence that. And often we're so used to taking care of other people, we
Yes.
don't understand how to take care of ourselves,
Yes.
right? And when we get a diagnosis of diabetes, all of a sudden we become the forefront and we don't know how to do that, right?
Forgetting you. This is exactly the situations that happen so often. Once I spoke with one of the nurses, and she has diabetes. Unfortunately, this is what I am observing in our very large group. Probably, if we break it down by the profession, medical professionals are probably the ones who have this diagnosis in our Facebook group. I don't know about like 100% of population, but it's exactly that, because people who work with others, they're so used to taking care of others and noticing some changes and in others that they just don't pay attention at all to what is going on with their own bodies. And then they find themselves stressed out, uh, overworked, bunch of different diagnoses suddenly starting piling up, and they have to do something with that.
100%. And if you really look at it, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying in terms of people who are professional caregivers,
Mm,
because there is a need to push aside your own needs to be able to kind of meet the needs of others, right?
yes.
But if we look at that even in general life, there are so many of us that have been socialized and taught that it is more important to give to others, is more important. Like, there was a sense of pride in that you did meet your own needs for a period of time, and that kind of set us up for really not being able to take care of ourselves in the way that we are. And actually, as our bodies start talking to us and we don't listen, other things start to happen. Are the and I'm not a scientist in that way, but what I have learned is that when we don't pause and take and listen to that message and then understand how to help support ourselves, we often end up experiencing health related concerns. And diabetes is one of those. And so it's super important to understand sort of how do we move forward in doing that. And in my background as in occupational therapy, there's a real importance in terms of looking at the person as a whole, but
Yes.
not only looking at the body functions, the mind, the emotional, the spiritual aspects, but also looking at the like what surrounds us and
Mm-hmm.
and what activities support us, what
Mm-hmm.
people and organizations support us with moving forward and creating a new understanding of who we are, who I am, so
Mm-hmm.
that I can understand what are the things that are going to support me,
Yes.
right? And I think that that's really really super important. And understanding, like, when we get a diagnosis, we don't always understand what that means, right? And understand how do we support ourselves with that. So the diagnosis isn't just the medical moment. As I've
Exactly.
said before, it's an identity disruption. That
Mm-hmm.
person I thought I was, I wanted to be, all of that kind of stuff, that I'm not that person anymore, because now I am a person who is experiencing this, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what that means, and I don't know how to be in
Yes.
that space,
Exactly.
right?
This is something, you're right. And you brought up some the thought that I periodically starting to think, never completed because this is such a broad spectrum. But you see, I'm always saying that the diabetes and a way of working with that and be a winner and be the one who is in charge is first you have to mentally accept the given, right? And the thing is that, as I said, a lot of changes are always hard, right? So, and resistance to change is probably the strongest feeling and emotion that we can experience. It's scary. The new thing is not clear what it is, what to expect, unknown. So we are afraid to change. But here's the one little detail. We lived our life until the certain point. We lived it the way how we were taught, how we decided to live it. But then one setting changed.
Mhm.
You got this new setting in your basic, general settings, and it's affecting everything. And you got to remember about the fact that one setting changed, I need to adjust to that settings. You cannot continue going the same path, pretending that you are the same person and don't make any changes, because that setting, it definitely messes up all the processes. And if we ignore it long enough, then it
Yes,
follows with the more changes, and there will be more than one setting changed. So you're right. We recognize that setting change and we need to make the change. This is so important.
yes,
And it just to accept the fact that it has to change. And I'm okay
exactly.
with that.
Yes, I think that's important. And I think like as someone that works in the healthcare system, I also have to remember that there is a moment and a time that we have to kind of grieve what we feel we're
Yes.
losing.
Yes.
But in order to support someone, I need to help them understand that you can grieve and you can grow at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's hard. And how do we create that? Like through, looking at the movement, looking at how do we kind of ground into who we are and into this moment, that we're not necessarily stuck. You can be grieving and growing at the same time. And that we don't have to start and go from zero to perfect,
Yes.
right? Because that's a big thing. Today, I have to be perfect because of all the focus on the numbers and what I'm eating and all of these things. It is a process that we are
Mhm.
also doing, and change is a process. And so it's not a light switch going off and on, but it's
Exactly.
really, remember those lights where you could adjust the setting of the light and you
Dimmer.
slowly
Yes.
slide it?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that. You go into from not knowing something into creating small changes that are going to have a big impact on how you not only manage your diabetes, but also in how you are actually going to embrace life in a new and more vibrant way. Because as the light continues to grow, you actually have created new strength, new resilience, new compassion, right? Healing on all of those levels does it starts with kindness to yourself and
Yes.
compassion for yourself, and then but not control, because fear is what's controlling you initially, right? It's like, "Ugh, I can't do any of this. If I don't do it perfectly, I'm not doing it at all." And because we're all individuals, each of us needs something a little different to help manage our chronic disease process, to help manage our diabetes, and to help manage this new version of us that is coming forward. And as if we can sit in some kindness and compassion for ourselves, we're going to be able to take those steps a lot, I guess, more quickly. They might be smaller steps, but they all add up to the same
Definitely.
outcome,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely. Yes. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And this is something that I read pretty often in our Facebook group when people are saying that I am so mad at
Yes.
myself. I am so angry I cannot do it because I am I knew that I shouldn't be doing that. And I did it anyways. And I did it to myself. And now I have to get the shots, get the medication, do the diet, do the counting, carb counting, all this. So when this happened already, and I mean, everybody has the right to be mad for a short period
Exactly.
of time. You just don't need to and shouldn't stay in this for a long time. Be mad, grab the pillow, beat the pillow, do the, write down on your paper all the bad words you can come up with, address it to yourself, and then burn that. And then get rid of
Yes.
it, because the anger should go so you could start listening to your body and start making improvements.
Exactly. And that anger can become fuel for a new change, right? Because
Yeah,
you start there. I'm so angry. And often the anger is at yourself, like we were
yes,
saying, right? I'm so angry that I allowed this to happen, that I didn't make the changes before, or whatever. But let that be the fuel to your rocket ship of moving forward to this next version of who you are. sometimes we want to take that rear view mirror and make it the whole image in front of us. What it's there is to give us messages and cues, but really we need to be driving the car forward. We need to be looking out the main windshield of the car that's our life, right? And
Yes.
moving forward. The rear view mirror gives us some information, but we really need to be pointing in the direction ahead of us. And I think part of what you're saying is that anger that can fuel us is also tinged with a bit of shame. So how do we
Yes.
bring our shame into shine? So because we can change that, right?
Right.
And part of that is learning how to talk to yourself again. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about you, but there was a period in my life where my internal voice, the piece of me that talked to me, did not talk to me with kindness. It did not talk to me in a way that made me feel like I could accomplish and get to things. And I mean, that took a little bit of time for me to do. But when you're facing this chronic illness, when you're facing sort of a new life that you're creating for yourself, we need to start talking in ways to ourselves that are much more supportive. And although that doesn't seem like a lot, over time, that shifts who you are on the inside and has a big impact on your health and your well being and how you feel every day. Right. And
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
going from I messed up, like I didn't eat properly, I didn't exercise, I didn't do this, and this, to, you know what, I'm waking up now. I
Mhm.
recognize that this is going to make a difference in my life. I recognize that I'm important now and I need to put the time and effort into me. And that's a big shift, right?
Yeah.
But it's an important one. And that shift comes from the inside. And
Absolutely.
that's important. From my body betrayed me to my body's asking for care. And because I know how to take care of other people, I can bring that to myself too,
Yes.
in
Yes.
small ways and big ways, you know?
Absolutely. And what you're talking about, this I see again, I'm back to our Facebook group. This is our main audience anyways. The I see so often when people are saying, I've been diagnosed already for years. I've been diagnosed 10 years ago. I've been diagnosed 8 years ago. But I am now starting to make changes. I am now ready to do that. I'm sorry I didn't start it sooner, but I am ready now. And I need support, I need help, I need the information. So, and this is a great thing that when I read it, and the number of members of our group is 200,000 people plus. But the number of people who have diabetes in the world is 500 plus millions of people. So our group is just a small drop. And a
Mm-hmm.
small drop is helping some people to get better, to get control over their diagnosis, inspire others, and find the ways how what you're saying, how to to move to that next stage of starting taking care of yourself, starting paying more attention to what your body is signaling you. This is I'm so happy that we can provide that support and appreciate you sharing this with us here because uh, sometimes all people need is the recognition that they have a problem and there is a way out of there.
Exactly. And that way out is in partnership with someone, because they have the power to do it themselves, but sometimes it's just, they need somebody that's holding the
Yes,
flashlight and
yes,
helping them choose the direction and see kind of the next steps forward, and I think that that's super important. I think one of the things I also want to add is that sometimes when we are, especially in the early stages of living with diabetes, we're like, it's the appointments. So we're a patient of the dietitian, we're a patient of the doctor, we're a patient of this, that we actually forget that we are the main characters in our story and we can
mhm,
rewrite that. Being a patient is actually a very small part of that. It's a part of learning sort of what's new for us and how to tools and apply that to our life. But you're not your diagnosis.
Exactly.
You are a force and you are a creator. And because I understand like what it's like to kind of live in a dim sort of space, like where I didn't actually honor myself or understand how to take care of myself in those ways, I want to help empower people understand that they are glow getters. They are able to ignite themselves and actually be able to create a ripple effect beyond the diagnosis that they have to not only improve their own lives, but to be able to help others support their wellness moving forward. Because often we're surrounded by people who also don't understand how to help themselves, but also not, they don't understand how to help us. And what a gift we're giving people when we can help them understand what we need and that we can all stand together in creating that, you know?
Definitely.
So, and it changes life as we move forward, and it changes each generation
Mm-hmm.
because that's super important to recognize. The small changes we make today help influence the generations that come. And for most of us, we want something better for our family than we've had for ourselves. So we are going to be able to ignite that change by standing up, acknowledging, moving forward, helping to make those small changes together so that maybe our grandchildren or our children don't have to experience what we've had to. They actually learn how to take care of themselves through us. And you know what? It's never too late to do that.
Absolutely. You know what is interesting? I just thought about that when you started talking about generations, uh, uh, we, the adults who are living right now, we are the result of knowledge base that our parents had. And the
Yeah,
science moved forward so far that what challenges, health challenges we have, we totally can help our children to eliminate because they will
exactly.
not make those mistakes that we already made. That this huge experiment on human body already completed, and we already know so much more than 30, 50 years ago, right? So the new generation can use this knowledge and move forward with our support and using our results of our experiment uh, to avoid their mistakes, unless they really want to repeat the mistakes. But we don't talk about it. We don't want to do that, right?
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
Alanna, I know that we can continue talking about this for hours, but
Absolutely.
unfortunately, we are at the end of our show. Before you go, I would like to ask you where, if someone feels like, hey, I need to speak with this lady more, she knows something that I need to know, how people can get in touch with you. What is the best way to get in touch with you?
So I am in sort of in a growth phase right now. So the best way to reach out to me is either on my own personal Facebook page, Alanna Surprenant, or at Here She Glows Again, which is a Facebook page for my business. I will be
Mhm.
posting some things within that group about some talks that I'm wanting to host. I really feel like I want people to be able to move beyond the numbers and create a
Mhm.
life that is exciting and ignited. So I do offer a free talk in that area. I also am available to provide one-to-one support, group support. And what I'm hoping that we can do is also create some lovely little retreats, some intimate experiences
It'll
where
be
we look at a
wonderful.
whole
Yeah.
life. Of living beyond the numbers and really being excited about embracing not only the change, but embracing who we truly are and who we truly can become. And I think
Exactly.
that if I can leave people with something,
Yes, please.
is two things that make a huge difference, at least in terms of starting your day, is be able to talk to yourself and remember to meet yourself with compassion today and understand that you create your story. So even journaling, like you said, writing things down, super important. I'm here. I know, Irina, you're here, and there are multiple professionals and people with lived experience living with diabetes that can offer so much to you. So, if I can say anything to you, you are more than your diagnosis. You are a power, you have purpose in this, and that embracing your own glow, your own internal light is going to be super important. And in any way, if I can help you or meet in the community, I'm happy to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alanna. We will work with you more, and we'll bring you to the community. So for right now, before we say final goodbyes, I wanted to remind to our listeners about some activities that are happening in our Facebook group. One is we have on Tuesdays our Telenurse Tuesday, where our registered nurses uh, going live, but it's not the video, it's the messaging. So on the banner like this, anyone can type in their questions, their concerns, and the nurse will go at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. She will respond to all the messages and questions that people might have. Every other Wednesday, we have our support group meetings. It's outside of Facebook, it's in Zoom, and it's a private meeting where we often have as a guest one of our healthcare professionals, registered nurses, maybe registered dietitians, maybe personal trainers joining us, and we have a chance to ask them the questions and get the recommendations, the answers, and also support each other, people who have this diagnosis, and we have their lovely little group. People are very kind and warm and helpful to each other. So anybody wants to join us on that meeting, you are welcome. Of course, every Thursday at 4 p.m. we have our Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360 podcast. And I also wanted to remind that once a month on the last Saturday of the month, we have this great series. It's called Diabetes 101 for Beginners. And we started with our registered dietitian, Kim Kyle, and we talk about different aspects that caregivers very often don't have because they don't go to doctor's offices. They don't go for doctor's meetings. They don't get the blood work results. And they need to know how they can be the best support to their loved ones. So here with Kim, we are talking about nutrition, about different medications. We're talking about different diet recommendations. And it's a great session to attend for anyone. You don't have to be a caregiver. You can be a person who has this diagnosis or want to know how to avoid this diagnosis, to learn details. Kim is full of knowledge and information, and I am happy that she is joining me on this event every month. With that, this is the end of our session. And again, Alanna, I appreciate very much your time and willingness to talk with me about this. This is so important. And I
Something
hope.
went wrong. Please try again.
Okay, my phone suddenly. Uh, Thank you, Alanna. One more time. I hope we will see you again. I know we will see you again. And everybody, share this information with your loved ones. You never know what change you could make in somebody's life by bringing them extra piece of information presented in a very casual form like we had a conversation today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week.